Well, hello everybody, and let me welcome you back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert, on this fabulous Friday, September 25th, 2020. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better, but I wasn't going to push it today, so I stayed inside and I was playing with some electronics here. Now, this is stuff that I got basically out of trash cans, dumpster diving, things like that, as I was going through my normal paces in life. And I put them aside and said, well, I probably use some of the parts out of that for something down the line. Well, today I decided, well, I'm going to open these things up and see what's wrong with them and see if I can't repair them. Because in the desert, people are always throwing out electronics. And this came out of a big screen TV. And when people see those laying on the dirt and they go, well, not worth anything, doesn't work. Well, to me, it's worth a lot because you see all these little things that look like barrels here. There's loads of them all over. Those are called capacitors, or caps for short. And that's one type of capacitor. And this is a wafer capacitor here. That's another capacitor. And a lot of this stuff comes in handy down the line. And why would it come in handy? Well, this is the control board from one of the Harbor Freight solar panel sets, the 100-watt solar panel sets. This is the display up here, and these are your 12-volt outputs. This is your 12-volt solar input over here. And you see a capacitor over there and a couple of capacitors here with your two USBs. Okay, so what had happened was, on this panel, I had it hooked up inside here so that I could see what kind of voltage I had in my battery banks without having to go outside, especially in the wintertime when it's cold and rainy and snowy and stuff like that. I can just glance up and I would be able to see what my batteries were doing and let me know if I should turn on the sauna or stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, so what had happened was I was readjusting things, and when I did, I knocked the plug out of here. And the solar plug, you're not supposed to connect or disconnect solar panels in when they're under load. And this was during the day. I mentioned this in a prior video. During the day, full sun, everything running, everything under power. And, well, I knocked that out, and I just plugged it in real quick again, saying, no problem. And display went blank. I went, oh boy, now what? So I opened this thing up, and first thing I saw was, let me see if I can point with these down here. Okay, this little dot right there. Okay, that's where a capacitor goes, and the two little wires, the positive wire goes through this one, negative wire through that one. Okay, well, here's the capacitor that came out of there. Yep, fried it. Blew that capacitor up. So, I was lucky enough that when the side that blew up was not the side with the ratings on it. So this is a 16 volt 100 microfarad capacitor. So I went through all of my electronic boards that I had outside, this one also, and I couldn't find any of the capacitors that I needed for that side. Now this capacitor over here, the top of these, you see how they get those little cuts in that? Well, when these things overheat and they're getting ready to blow, they'll actually expand. And this one was humped up. I pressed it back down to see how solid it was, but I'm not going to trust this. So they're supposed to look like this. And you can see this one is raised like almost like a Mercedes-Benz hubcap. So I'm going to need to replace that one also. Now this one was a 35 volt 200 microfarads. Well, on one of those boards I found right there, 35 volts, 220 microfarads. And that's exactly what this one is. Let's see if I can get it around. 35 volts, 220 microfarads. All right. So I can replace that one with this one, but this one's a little larger in diameter than that one. It probably won't make a difference because I have enough room inside of the case for it to handle. But before I actually take that one out and resolder the new one in, next time I go down to the OC, I'll stop into my friends at Alltech Electronics, 1300 East Edinger, Santa Ana, 714-543-5011. Speak to Gazi or Lucian or Vin and ask them about things that you need. They've got all kinds of stuff there. They've got computers, used laptops. They've got monitors. They've got TVs. They've got solar panels. They got solar controllers, grid tie solar controllers. So anything that you're looking for, give those guys a call first before you go searching anywhere else. I'm sure you're going to get a better price than you can find anywhere else. And I've been dealing with these guys, this Alltech Electronics, since the 1980s. And trust me, they're good guys. I wouldn't be dealing with them this long if they weren't those good guys that I say they are. All right, so anyway, you can see this one has some MOSFETs on it. And what a MOSFET is, everybody might be wondering that. A MOSFET is actually a switch. It does multiple switching capabilities on the circuit board when it needs it. But what a capacitor does is a capacitor takes in voltage, stores it up like a giant warehouse. Figure it's a warehouse. So you can start loading stuff into the warehouse, and when the warehouse gets full, then you've got to send some out. So that's what it does. It stores up electrons inside of here, and then it boosts them out all in one jolt. So a capacitor actually kind of gives you a good jolt to your voltage. So at 16 volts, 100 microfarads, and that's microfarads is listed as a let me see if I can show it on you here. It's a U. Oh, let me get it cleared. Whoop, upside down. Oh, wrong side. Oh, there we are. So it says 34 volts. But the UF, the small UF, we can get that in clear here. Anyway, it says 100 UF, a small U, small f. That's microfarads. And they deal with microfarads and small items like this because that rates the number of electrons that can store up inside of this capacitor before they're released. And anybody who thinks that, well, because it's 100 microfarads, on that board right over there, I've got a 16 volt 220 microfarads. This is only 100 microfarads, or the one I need over here is 100 microfarads. So I got a 16 volt 200 microfarads. You say, well, 200 is better than 100. Why not put that in? No, it doesn't work that way. Because 200 microfarads has twice as many electrons as the 100 does. So the jolt that comes out of there is going to be so hot it'll burn other items down the line in the circuit board. So you don't want to do that. When the board is put together by the electrical engineers who design these things, it's all done with calculations, and they know exactly what they need to put in there. So I'm not going to try messing with it because I don't want to blow anything else out on the board if I can reuse this controller. So it's always good having extra controllers. Now, that being said, and without getting too far into that, I did go outside and I had in the container I had two of the old 15 watt Harbor Freight controllers, big square silver boxes. and they don't make those anymore. But I still have some 15-watt solar panels here. I have one of those controllers in my motorhome. I have another one inside of one of the containers as a backup lighting. And I had two extras that are on the shelf because they quit working. Well, I pulled those apart today and I found out what was wrong with them. And I had spare parts for them on my spare parts boards. So I repaired those two and they're back on the shelf marked repaired as of this date. Like I did here. I repaired and tested good today. So this one is working. This is only 140 watt. And I had originally put little alligator clips on this to try it out because somebody had cut the plug off the end of it. Or whatever was on the end of it. So I put a couple alligator clips on and they tossed this into the trash. Well, I went inside and I found out what was wrong with it. It was a simple fix. Only took me about 10 minutes. Had that up and running. Now, there's one. This is a good one. Okay, this is actually from Harbor Freight. And this is a continuous peak power inverter. But this one is... Where is it? Oh yeah, right here. 400 to 800 watt. Now, 400 to 800 watt, that's a pretty good output for a little controller. Now these are modified sine wave, not pure sine wave, but still, at 400 to 800 watt in a small unit like that, that's handy as heck. So I went inside and found the problem on this one, repaired that one also, and I marked it on here. Tested, repaired, 925/20. So this one is working also. So those are nice to have around for cars and things like that. I don't know, maybe I'll just sell these really cheap to somebody that needs them. They want to have some AC power in their car. This is a good way to go. I think what was on the end of this one was a cigarette lighter plug. And this one just plugged into a cigarette lighter. And somebody cut that cigarette lighter plug off the end of it. So I put alligator clips on so I could do my testing. And I used a Harbor Freight battery down here that I have. It's a little 35 amp hour battery. I use that for my testing. Here's my soldering gun right here. Here's my medicine right here to help me feel even better than I feel. And yeah, so that's some of the stuff I've been doing. All right. Other than that, I forgot to mention the other day that I did change the oil on the van and did all the fluid checks and filled everything up there and took care of all of that. I also added input and output fans next to the two new controllers in the battery room, so that I could keep some air flowing around those, because those things get pretty hot with all the work they're doing, and things like that. So anyway, I also I tried to get Up and Adam 74 from Australia to come up here and work on my garden while I did my other chores, but she wouldn't bite. Couldn't do it. Oh well. I'll have to see what else I can trick her into. All right, everybody. This is G Bear. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up down there. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. I want to get those subscribers up to 5,000. And everybody that comes along with me is going to be surprised at 5,000. I appreciate it. Thank you. And see you later. This is G Bear signing off.